Hey everybody, I just wanted to come on here first of all and say Merry Christmas. Hope everybody's having an awesome Christmas holiday. I've really been asking the Lord the last few days, like, what do you want me to make a video on? Like, what should I talk about? And I feel like I'm supposed to share my Christmas miracle, which is Jordan. I gave birth to him Christmas 2004, but our story is very special and very heartbreaking, but the ending is beautiful. April, it's hard for me to talk about this because it's very raw. No matter how many years, he's going to be 16 tomorrow, and this is a very raw story for me. It's hard. It's a hard one. Back in April of 2004, I was arrested and I was facing a very long time in prison. I didn't know if I was ever going to get out of prison. And I didn't know I was pregnant when I went to jail. They do pregnancy tests on everybody that comes in. And they called me down and the nurse told me I was pregnant. And in that moment, I didn't know what to feel because I've always wanted a child, but here I am facing life in prison and my emotions were out of control. All I could do was cry. And I get back to my dorm and I just cry and cry and cry. I mean, I can't even really describe the emotions that I was feeling. It was just horrible. It was horrible to not know, the not knowing of what was going to happen. And I was still going back and forth to court. I had no idea what was going to happen to me. So I ended up doing my whole pregnancy in the county jail. And for first-time mamas, you want to experience pregnancy. You want to experience the cravings. You want to experience the baby shopping. All those things I missed out on. I can remember like watching commercials and just seeing food and being like, oh, I want that so bad. So I was devastated. I would call my mom a lot. I would ask questions and I didn't really know what the future held for me, and it was a very scary time for me, very scary time for me. But I really do feel like everything happens for a reason, and I believe that God allowed me to be pregnant in that moment to get me through that moment. Like my son, he really did save me in that moment. Like I believe that God used him to get me through one of the worst times of my life. Like the worst times of my life. Like he was what brought me through that time in my life. And I'm sorry, I get emotional when I talk about it because first of all, I don't talk about it a whole lot. I don't share it a whole lot. Sorry. But I believe that he got me through that time. He got me through that time in my life, and I can just remember rubbing my belly and talking to him, and it was like I really wasn't alone. Like I had him, I had God. I really feel like I wasn't alone in that moment, and I believe God allowed that. He allowed that to get me through that because I was hopeless. The night I got arrested, I was hopeless. I couldn't stop crying. I was depressed. I was scared. I had so many emotions. Not only was it my first time in jail, but I had just watched something very traumatic happen. And I didn't know, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to believe. My whole world was crashing down on me. And then it was like, God's like, hold on, just hold on. And it's like, I found out I was pregnant with Jordan. and it was like the glimmer of hope. I was going back and forth to court. It didn't look like I was going to get bonded out. I went to a bond hearing. They denied me. Everything was getting denied. I just felt hopeless. And then finally, my lawyer came with me with a plea deal, 0 to 10 years. Which, what that meant was that I would get sentenced in front of the judge, and it was a 10-year cap. He couldn't give me no more than 10 years. And so that was the only glimmer of hope I had, because I was facing life in prison. Like, I was facing life, like never get out again. And so I took the plea, and what that plea meant was the judge could send me home that day, or he could give me the 10 years. So I took the plea, and I still had to wait a couple months before my actual sentencing. My sentencing was in February of 2005. So at this point, I knew that I was going to have my son while I was still incarcerated, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to go home in February. So I can remember Christmas Eve feeling pain and not really knowing what that pain was, going to one of the other girls in the dorm who had a baby before, and she was like, you need to tell the officer you're in labor. But I wasn't really sure, because it wasn't like excruciating pain like I've always imagined. But I did. I went handcuffed to the hospital. And I believe I ended up getting sent back because I wasn't fully dilated. So they sent me back, and I was in the infirmary. And the pain got worse and worse and worse and worse. And all I wanted was my mom. All I wanted was my mom in that moment. Like, I here I am with officers, and I just wanted my mom. How many of you know that when you are having a baby, you want your mom? Well, I remember going back to the hospital and being handcuffed to the bed. They handcuffed me to the bed, and I was in great pain. I was in labor. I don't really remember exactly how long I was handcuffed to the bed, but it was a while. And finally, the nurses at the hospital told the officer, like, you have to unhandcuff her. She's not going anywhere. She's in labor. She's not going anywhere. So the officer unhandcuffed me, and the first officer that was on shift, she was very by the book, would not let my family in. And in that moment, I was just so scared. I was so scared of what was going to happen. I had no idea anything about labor, you know. So the next officer comes on shift, and she was God sent. And this is what I mean by what I said at the beginning of the video, is that even in the darkest situation, God can give you some light. He can give you light in that situation. He can turn it around for you. And in that situation, the rules were no family allowed. No family allowed, and the inmate had to have the baby alone. And God sent me an officer that allowed my family to come in. Not only my mom was there, my dad was there, my aunt was there. They got to be by my side the last few hours of labor. Like, when I pushed, they were there. My mom got to cut the cord. I can just remember, like, looking at Jordan. I had so much love for him. Whew, this is hard. 16 years later, here I am. Still brings tears to my eyes. You don't realize the pain when you have to hand your baby over. But But in that moment, there was so much joy. I had my family there. It was amazing. It was my Christmas miracle. I'm telling you. God allowed my family to be there for me on Christmas. And not only that, since I had been arrested, it was the first time I was able to touch my family, hug my family, like physical touch from those who I loved on Christmas. Like, God gave me a Christmas miracle. It was so awesome. It was so awesome. And in that moment, God was there. He was there. Even though I didn't 100% realize He was there at that time, He was there. He was there. And I can remember, even my cousin and, his baby and them came up to see me. Like, I got to see my family. I got to touch my family. It was awesome. Well, then it was shift change again, and the next officer came on. So I got a 12-hour Christmas miracle where for the whole time that lady was on shift, she let my family be there with me. And I'll never forget that officer. The next day, I only got to spend 24 hours with Jordan. And the next day, I'll never forget. The next day, I had to go back, and I was saying my goodbyes. I was in a wheelchair, and I was saying my goodbyes, and I can remember them, me just handing my baby to the nurse, and the officer pushing me away in a wheelchair. And I can just remember that feeling. I will never forget that feeling. I will never forget that feeling. That feeling of like, I didn't know what was going to happen. My baby was there. I didn't get to hold my baby again until he was 8 months old. I didn't go home. I ended up going to court on February, and the judge sentenced me to 10 years. I can remember that moment of not knowing that I wasn't going to be able to be with my son. I can remember going back to the dorm. Like, I was so devastated. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I was like taking other people's medications to sleep. It was horrible. I was in a bad state of mind. Like, my mind was not in a good place. And I can remember coming home from the hospital before I even got sentenced and just calling my mom like a million times a day. What is he doing? What's he doing? And my mom, of course, he's sleeping, because that's what babies do. But I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything. I was so lost without him. Ooh, I was so lost without him. Every moment I was away from him, it felt like a million years. I ended up getting the 10 years and going to prison. And me and Jordan's relationship grew through visitations. Every 3 weeks, my mom would bring him to see me. And that was the relationship we had. I hated it. I hated every day I was away from him. And now I'm with him, and he's a pain in my butt, but I love him. Oh. Visitations were always hard because they were so short. And then it was like he'd leave, and it was like he's leaving me all over again. I'm so thankful for my family, my parents, who took my son and raised them basically as their own, and never left me out of it. Never badmouthed me. Was there for me, encouraging me through the whole thing. I got out of prison when he was 8 years old, and he'll be 16. So we have built a relationship. We've went through some struggle. We've went through some ups and downs, and of course I relapsed, and all the crap and garbage that I went through, he went right there through it with me. And here we are today, like, restored. We have a relationship. I have his trust. Like, he knows that his mom is not going back to the same life. Like he believes in me now. He's strong. He's stronger than me. And he's so much better than I was. But he's a pain in the butt. But I love him so much. And I'm sorry. I did not mean for this to be turned into a cry fest. Man. I want to bring you hope. I don't want to cry. If I could just leave you with one thing today, it would be that no matter what your situation is, just keep fighting. Don't give up. Don't give up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel if you just keep fighting. And I love you guys. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. We are going to have a great Christmas. We're together as a family, fully restored. And I just pray that your Christmas is good too. I will be back on here soon. I just pray, and I'm just asking the Lord to kind of lead me on what to share and what parts of me He wants me to share, and at what point and what time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's anything you guys would like to know more about this, please ask the question in the comments, and I will try to make another video answering any questions you may have. Have a wonderful day.